Hello, this is Idodmg and welcome back to the channel. In this Path of Exile 2 video, I want to talk to you about Ascendancy classes. There's been a lot of information coming out about Path of Exile 2, and at the time of recording, we are 10 days away from the launch of Early Access. Early Access is paid to play. You have to pay $30 to gain access, unless if you've spent a lifetime payment. I think it's if you've spent at least $480 or more on Path of Exile 1, then you're kind of vetted in. They'll send you a key for the beta for Path of Exile 2. Now remember, when PoE 2 does launch, it will be free to play. So this is just kind of to get your beta access. But in this video, we're going to talk about Ascendancies. We're not going to break down every single Ascendancy. I've spent a lot of time rewatching the video that they showed talking about the new endgame and stuff like that for PoE 2. And they covered all the Ascendancy classes. Perhaps in the future, I'll do kind of more of an extended video on that. But in this one, I just want to talk about what I want to play when Early Access starts here in 10 days or so. When Beta Early Access for PoE 2 launches, there's going to be 6 classes, and each of those 6 classes are going to have 2 Ascendancies, so that's 12 Ascendancies, and I've narrowed it down to about 5 that I'm considering playing at the launch. And what I want to do here is pop up the video, listen to it, and kind of talk about each of the 5 that I've kind of pointed out. So the 5 we're going to be talking about here is going to be Stormweaver, Warbringer, Pathfinder, Infernalist, and Invoker. Let's go ahead and talk about it right now. Okay. All right, we went ahead and jumped into the video here. So
as a sorceress, you could become a Stormweaver.
This is the Stormweaver.
Tempest Caller causes elemental storms to be summoned each time.
So the first thing that attracted me to the Stormweaver here, I don't know, I always call it Tempest Caller. That's the node, not the actual Ascendancy. So the actual Ascendancy is Stormweaver, and what attracted to me this was the Elemental Storm, and then whenever you crit with spells, you trigger this Elemental Storm. It just sounded awesome, like a way to kind of just blast out more elemental damage and stuff like that.
You do a critical hit with a spell. With Strike twice, you can stack 2 copies of Shock for more damage. And going deeper into the tree, you can make all your damage types apply shock. Make a shock build from any skill. Alternatively,
and then also being able to stack up your shocks and stuff like that. I mean, it sounds pretty basic. I can't wait to actually see the full tree and dive in a little bit more. But that's Stormweaver. And we also got the double shocks, and then allowing all of your abilities to apply shocks as well. It just sounds really awesome. I typically will do like fire builds or elemental builds. I love the sorceress Mage kind of playstyles typically, so I think that's why this one kind of stood out to me at first. But we have 4 other Ascendancies here that I'm thinking about as well. Next up, let's go ahead and talk about the Warbringer. This is going to be an Ascendancy of the Warrior class. I'm going to go ahead and jump back into the video here. Again, these are really short clips, so it's really kind of hard to decide. And it may even come down to like on launch day, I just decided, but this is kind of what I've been thinking so far.
Cast all her spells again. On the Warrior, you can choose between the Warbringer or the Titan. The Warbringer channels the might of his ancestors to gain tremendous power. Using Answered Call, you can summon ancestral spirits linked to each of your totems.
So this one I thought, and I don't know if you really want to call it a minion build or what you want to call it, but the fact that you have like kind of 2 layers, right? You have your totems, which totem builds were always fun in Path of Exile 1, but then this one you have ancestral spirits linked to those totems, so you can do like even more. It just sounds awesome. And then to see what you can do with all the different spirits and stuff like that. So I don't know, sounds awesome. Like an advanced totem build. And then the Jade Heritage as well for that defensive cooldown. I need this on Path of Exile 1. One of the builds I'm currently working into, but
your body and a protective layer that absorbs all.
But then I thought you could also be buffing up your spirits, your totems and stuff as well, and kind of just keeping yourself alive while they're kind of doing some of the damage as well, is my other thought process here.
Damage until it breaks. Warcaller's Bellow allows you to explode the corpses of your enemies. And with Great Wolf's Howl, you can ignore the cooldowns of your war.
You can spam cooldowns and you can explode corpses.
The Titan class.
It just sounds awesome. The Titan class sounded pretty cool. That one's not currently on my list, but maybe we'll see. But that one will allow you to use 2-handed weapons with one hand, kind of like the Diablo 3 thing you could do on there. But anyway, that was the Warbringer. I really like the idea of those totems and the ancestral spirit setup. It sounds pretty fun. Next up, we have the Ranger, and we're talking about the Pathfinder Ascension is the one I want. Now, this one's going to have poison flasks. This one sounded really cool. It kind of reminds me a lot of the Diablo 4 Rogue, and I know we're talking about Path of Exile 2 here, but I just love action RPGs in general. But oh, man, I'm so pumped for PoE 2. Like, these 10 days can't go fast enough. But this is the Pathfinder, and I just think it sounds awesome with the way you can throw out flasks and apply poison and stuff. But
You could become a
I
pathfinder.
think there's also, you can do different other types of elements, not just poison. But let's go ahead and
Master of
see.
Flasks and poison. She can choose from one of several throwable concoctions, allowing her to spend her flask charges to throw explosive bottles that deal various types of damage. A bleeding concoction will make your enemies
Bleeding,
bleed,
yeah.
while a fulminating one can shock your enemies, allowing you to do extra damage. Contagious contamination allows her to spread poisons between her foes, while overwhelming toxicity doubles the number of stacks they can be infected by.
That's a lot of poison if you think about that.
Assault allows her to move much more quickly while firing.
Think about that. You're applying poison and then also not just applying it, but also spreading it as well. Like, it's just going to stack up so quick. I love the high poison stacks. I really like that. I'm thinking about one of the builds I had in last Epoch as well. Poison. Poison's pretty fun. Try to stack up. And then I think, what's the other one? Movement speed while moving.
While Relentless Pursuit makes her totally immune to being slowed by enemies. The Witch can
So you get a little bit more mobility there. And we also saw that with the other Ascendancy class for Ranger. I think the other Ascension class for Ranger is Deadeye. We saw some mobility there as well, I believe. The next one we have here, and I think this is probably one of the most popular or most talked about Ascendancy classes. This is for the Witch. This is the Infernalist. You can straight up turn into Lilith with this thing. Let's go ahead and watch the video.
Infernalist or the Blood Mage. As an Infernalist, she can summon a loyal Hellhound companion.
So you get a Hellhound.
Hellhound sets enemies on fire, as well as taking a percentage of the damage if the Infernalist gets hit.
Yep.
With Pyromantic Pact, you can
So the Hellhound's going to also take, I think it was 20% of the damage you take, so it's also going to help with survivability. And then also applying, I'm assuming, Ignite stacks, things like that.
turn your mana.
And then this was the other thing they showed that's really, really kind of cool too, is you can turn your mana bar into a whole different resource type, like this flame resource. Now, if you ever played, there's a game called Warhammer Inquisitor Martyr. They have a class on there that it reminded me of this. And on that Inquisitor Martyr game, you would have a resource bar, and the more full it got, or what was it? The more full or the more of the resource you use, whatever it was, the more dangerous monsters would start to spawn in there since you were becoming more corrupt or whatever. So I don't know. I just saw some similarities in there, and that's a really good thing because I liked that class. It's pretty fun on Inquisitor Martyr. But
Infernal Flame. As you cast more spells,
and there's two different kind of versions here with the
you'll take damage.
Infernalist.
Using Bringer of Flame, you'll want to make sure you keep the flames topped up. While your Infernal Flame is above 30%, all damage from you and your minions will ignite enemies.
So if you're above 30%, you ignite enemies.
Also transform into a literal
Here you go. Here's the Lilith demon
While
thing.
in demon form, she takes an increasing amount of damage, but her cast speed and damage increase rapidly as well. So if you're planning on transforming into a demon, make sure you stack a lot of life recovery.
So it sounded like while you're in that demon form, you're going to be losing health repeated, like real fast. And I think it speeds up probably. So if you get a bunch of life regen, hopefully you can stay in there longer. And then I'm wondering if there's probably leech, some sort of other healing effects as well. So you can stay in that demon form as well. It kind of reminds me of the lich form from last Epoch a little bit there, but it's straight up Lilith, dude. Now, next up, we have the monk. And I don't know if I'm going to play the monk or not, but this one here looked pretty cool. This Ascension for the Invoker looked pretty cool. I believe it's right here.
The elements might become an Invoker. With Elemental Expression, the Invoker will create waves of elemental power each.
So this one right here where it says trigger elemental explosion on melee crit. Now, if you can remember the very first one, the Storm Weaver, we got storm explosions or whatever they were called on spell critical hit. So we kind of see a little bit of similarity there. But that idea of that elemental explosion, I don't know, there's just something that seems really cool, really fun about that. So anyway, this is the Monk Invoker here.
He does a critical strike. With Faith as a choice, you gain the ability to meditate, allowing you to double your energy shield.
So meditate, there's a skill like that on last Epoch as well. I don't know. The idea of it sounds cool because you can like double your energy shield, but it's like, how often are you going to want to be stopping to meditate? You know, usually for me, it's like go, 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 go. Kill fast, get loot. I'm not going to want to stop to meditate, but maybe there's other things that are going to play into this mechanic as well. But
choose between I am the Blizzard or I am the Thunder to specialize in cold or lightning.
Cold or lightning are kind of your options.
Turn into an unbound avatar. Each time you apply a status ailment to an enemy, you gain Unbound Fury. When you have enough, transform into an avatar to deal way more damage and inflict even more elemental ailments.
So kind of another shape-shifting thing is, like you said, as you apply ailments, you get a certain thing, and once you get, what was it, Elemental Fury or something like that, once you get so many stacks, you then turn into an avatar. So if you're applying stacks frequently, you should be in that form a lot of the time. I mean, again, in theory, but I don't know, it just sounds cool. Now that I'm kind of sitting here and talking about this with you today, I'm kind of thinking maybe I will go the Invoker. Those are my top 5 Ascendancies that I'm kind of kicking around deciding on what I want to do. We have the Stormweaver, the Warbringer, the Pathfinder, the Infernalist, and the Invoker. Those are just 5 of the Ascensions that I'm thinking about kicking around. There's 7 more Ascendancy classes that we didn't even talk about in this video. I'm trying to really narrow it down, and I rewatched that little Ascendancy part of that video over and over and over for I don't even know how many times. But these are the 5 that I've narrowed it down to. And I don't know, now after going through it with you here today in this video, I really seriously have it kind of narrowed down to either doing the Sorceress with the Stormweaver Ascension or the Monk Invoker Ascension. And I don't know. It's going to be a hard choice, but the good news is we can play them all if we want to and as much as we want to in about 10 days. I'm really looking forward to diving into Path of Exile 2 and checking out really all the Ascendancy classes. As much as I'm trying to decide what I want to play at launch, I'm really trying to not stress about it. Honestly, I'll probably just decide the day of. But let me know what class, what Ascension are you going to play here in 10 days at the start of Path of Exile 2 Early Access. Let us know down in the comments if you have it narrowed down or not. And that's going to wrap it up for this Path of Exile 2 Ascendancy class. Me trying to make up my mind of what I want to go on launch. Thank you so much for giving me a place to sit and just talk about the games that I enjoy playing. Can't wait to get my hands on Path of Exile 2. I'm actually re-addicted to Path of Exile 1 while I wait. I really wish Granny Gear Games the best of luck with the launch here in 10 days. I can't wait to get my hands on it. Hopefully you enjoyed this video and found it useful and or entertaining. If so, don't forget that like button and subscribe to the channel if you think I've earned it. Please consider becoming a YouTube channel member today and unlock some cool perks such as behind the scenes, early access to videos when I unlock a big batch, and some fun bloopers that I find while editing. It also helps the family out a lot. Don't forget your view alone means the absolute world. As always, thanks for watching and we'll see you in the next video.